This is one of the most epic retreats that I was ever involved in. It was a platoon of 3 with me, Seeger, and bribed Guntails. And we would not have been able to do this if we weren't in a platoon. A second contributing factor to our success was the fact that both Guntails and Seeger were in medium tanks. It's the prerogative of mediums to be able to maneuver and get out of trouble if they have to retreat. They're much better equipped to do so than heavy tanks, which are tied down more fatally often. Now, at the start of this battle, as usual, I'm making a scouting run to light up vehicles that potentially are climbing the hill or moving elsewhere on the map. And I think they saw me here. Yes, there's the bulb. Looks like that Panzer IV was trying to line me up, but he didn't actually get a shot off. Now, this is a Tier 7 battle, so I'm not as concerned about the view range problem that plagues my A20 at higher tier levels. We have to be super cautious, so I lit up those people climbing the hill, and that Tog is doomed. I'm pretty sure he cannot survive with everybody shooting at him. Now, the problem with Malinovka, as you all know, is if an overwhelming force is not sent up the hill, you're going to lose. You're not going to win that firefight. So you can see another problem is piecemeal engagement. So the KV-1S is going up, the Comet is going behind him, and I believe that there's a T-29 that's thinking about it, and you all know that that's just a recipe for failure to go up there one at a time and get hammered. But it's a problem of pubs. How do you deal with that? Well, we don't have very good communications in World of Tanks in pub matches, and I don't see how they can improve that, especially with all the trolls in the game that would just be raging if you had some kind of a voice channel. So at Malinovka, it's all or nothing. And Guntails is urging those guys to pull back, and I'm sure I was talking about it. And if they had pulled out of there really fast, just get out of there, run away, get set up down low, I'll continue spotting, and vehicles that poke their nose above the horizon up there will get hammered by... We've got lots of guns down here. But they did not decide to retreat quickly enough, and they were half-hearted about it, so that proved to be very costly. But as I explained, there is a way of salvaging this mess. And in a few seconds here, I think we start to realize that some kind of withdrawal is in order. Okay, our Tog, just like the other Tog, once that thing is seen in an exposed position with this many guns shooting, that both vehicles are not able to survive. So Seeger, I think I mentioned to Seeger that there was an M4 here that potentially could ruin my day, and I asked him to help with that. Now, that thing is hard to hit over there, so I'm not sure we were able to do anything about it immediately. So at this stage, I think I was starting to think that we might have to pull completely out of here, because those guys were just too far forward. If they had pulled out and got 250 meters back, say around H0, I could have continued to spot what I call short scouting, which is as far away from the enemy as possible, and they would have continued to have targets. It's just a natural tendency for the enemy to mount probing attacks if they lose all their targets and they're up there on the hill. They have to justify their move by fighting. They're not going to stay up there, so there I got hit because I was typing while driving and scouting. You can't do both or all three things at the same time. it requires a great deal of precision to drive this vehicle properly, and you have to use the terrain to the utmost. So the retreat has begun. As you can see, Guntails has completely pulled out of the position, and Seeger is about to leave. And essentially, we're writing these people off. The Tiger, the T-150, and the T-43, we are abandoning them to our fate, and we're going to reassemble a fire team on the other side of the map. And the good news is that Seeger and Guntails are both undamaged, and they began the retreat soon enough. They're able to, their move is not visible to the enemy, and hopefully we can reassemble our force over here on the other side of the map and surprise them. Now, the good news is that the IS, our Tier 7 vehicle, seems to realize what's happening, so he's pulling out as well. And in a few minutes here, we will have reassembled our group, and you know, we've got enough firepower to potentially win this thing. And the fact that we're grouping up means that all of our guys will be able to engage the same targets, more or less. Now, there's no guarantee of that, but the fact that we're in a compact formation makes it more likely. Now, I have to report here that I behaved really stupidly. It could be that I wasn't thinking, I was thinking about giving orders, and I crashed right into that M12, which is really, really dumb. And it's embarrassing, but, you know, I can't edit this out. It just goes to show you that it's not a good thing to lose your concentration. So, I'm turning the camera around here, and you can see that we've got a fire team reassembled, which is always what you're trying to do. We identified strength, reinforced strength, fell back on strength. And the good news is their Artie has been killed. Unfortunately, we lost our Artie because he did not move off in a timely manner. So what I'm going to do here is click to see if I can switch vehicles. There we are. Okay, so I'm on the IS. And there's a Jag Panther there that might be a little bit mystified by our movements, and he went on a little probing expedition and failed to survive that little peek. Now Guntails, because I'm dead, Guntails is now the scout. I'm embarrassed to have to admit that that's the case, but that's really what's going on here. It's unfortunate we lost our Artie. I never like to lose the Artie if it's unnecessary, and it wasn't necessary. In this case, the S-51 easily could have realized what was happening and gotten to a safe position. So Guntails is just over there probing for movements on the enemy side, and we'll just wait for it. You will notice that that's the VK. This replay was quite a while ago. It's an 8.7 game, and Guntails is still in a medium tank. And if you'll notice, I think he was driving forwards with his gun pointing backwards. That's always awesome. Now the IS, you can debate whether this is the correct move, but he's going to not miss this shot, which is always great. And Seeger firing from a distance over there. You'll notice, I'm going to turn around. Seeger is elevated his vehicle. So even though it's long range, he's actually able to shoot the enemy. And that's another battle-winning tactic. If you can find a height of land where you are invisible to the enemy, you'll have a much greater opportunity to get long-range shots. Even if they are, you get less damage per shot, at least you're inflicting damage. You are able to hit the enemy. So, as you can see, the IS eliminated the KV-1S, and unfortunately our little group here is starting to scatter slightly. So I think all this time to be honest, I was urging Guntails to get out of there and rejoin the others instead of engaging piecemeal, which is probably one of the biggest mistakes in World of Tanks, trying to do something without assistance from others. If you can cure yourself of that, you'll be a much better player. So I'm going to click here and see if I can switch vehicles again. A few seconds. I think I switched to somebody. And this retreat, we've almost circled the map. And you can see Seeger just killed a Tier 6, the Churchill 7. The enemy may have been completely mystified by what our guys were doing. And if they had engaged as a group, we might not have prevailed. But there, I've switched vehicles now. The T-25/2 is in position, and our guys are catching up. And I think Seeger ended up with 5 kills. And the T-25 is making the correct move there to let other vehicles take over the spotting duties. Fire teams win, scatterers die. Here comes Seeger, and the beauty of it is he's got 4 kills and he's not even damaged. And that happened partly because he was keeping his distance from the enemy. And if you've got an open map with good sight lines, take advantage of that, guys. So the Tiger is almost out there, and the Su-85, I don't think we ever found him, and chasing him would just be a waste of time, and it might jeopardize the cap. So I'm still typing to tell people what to do. And as you might imagine, we successfully capped, and it's another awesome retreat brought to you by Panic. Good game, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the replay.